Good evening, guys. My name's Steve. It's been a while since I've done one of these live streams. Just kind of had the urge to do it. Maybe I'll start doing this again. I may do this on 7 p.m. on every Sunday night. But tonight, I felt compelled to do this because we got to talk about this pastor here. His name is Eli Regalado from Colorado, who basically scammed his congregants or fellow Christians by running a crypto kind of pyramid scheme type deal. And you have to listen to this video. I don't know much about this guy beyond what the news article said. I didn't do research on this guy, but you got to listen to this story because it's pretty wild. And more importantly, unfortunately, he's dragging Christians through the mud by what he's saying, in my opinion. Let me make sure my audio is good. Okay. So, before we do, I have to poke fun at Joe Biden. If this offends you, I'm sorry, but I've got to do it. There's too much content out there for me to not poke fun at Biden. I mean, it's almost elder abuse at this point, but he is still our president. And not only that, he's trying to seek a second term, which is just dead nuts. So, we got a couple videos. You got to watch this.
The beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes.
Dude. It's so bad. It's so bad. And look at this one. This was like a rally. I think this was recent. This was from like a week or two ago. I don't know if is he doing rallies or something? I guess officially he's a candidate and, they're going through the primaries. So this looks to be a campaign kind of thing. Or I guess this one's about abortion, obviously. But just listen to this. You can barely understand him, and then people go wild cheering for him. This is crazy.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
And then the crowd claps like little seals, like, woo! He made a point, I think. Listen to this again.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Don't mess with the men and women of America unless you want to get the benefit? I don't even know. Like, most of the time when he's slurring his words, because he's trying to speak too fast for his old brain to think, you can, like, kind of understand what he's saying. But what's funny is all these people are going along with it and pretending he didn't just stumble his way through a sentence. This is it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
What?
And then this was not too long ago.
At a moment of deep division in our nation.
Now this one he didn't bumble his way as bad as these other clips, but it's more of what he's saying I needed to comment on and give a little refresher.
President Lincoln said, "We are not enemies." He said, "We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies," he went on to say. I've long believed we have to look at each other, even in our most challenging times, not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Scripture tells us the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness.
This guy's taking notes.
I believe that's our collective calling today.
So first off, he left off a couple of them. The Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But Biden's trying to have this kind of unity thing, like, oh, why can't we get along as fellow Americans? And, we need to have patience and all that stuff. Do you guys remember this? And this was not that long
The
ago.
message to unvaccinated Americans is this: what more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see?
Which, by the way, this was maybe, I don't know, a year or two ago. And just in that year or two time, like, I thought he was bad then, but he's much worse now cognitively. Anyways, he's deteriorating very fast. But anyways, let me continue.
We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient. The vaccine has FDA approval. Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
So he's over here quoting the Bible, talking about we need to be patient with each other. And then he just, not that long ago, scolded the entire country saying, my patience is wearing thin because you won't take an experimental vaccine. Get the heck out of here with that. Oh my gosh. When this happened, I was pretty shocked that this happened. I mean, our president's crazy, man. Losing his patience because we're not taking a vaccine over a flu. This guy's unbelievable. But hey, maybe he's turning a corner. Maybe he needs to quote the Bible more, read the Bible more. You know, I know we're supposed to pray for our leaders, and you know, I do. Probably not as often as I should, but even in his old senile brain, maybe something will click and turn around. But we all know he's just reading whatever people throw in front of him. So, you know, I'd be better off praying for the folks that are his handlers, right? The people writing his speeches, because this guy doesn't mean anything he says. And neither do the people writing for him.
The message.
All right, one final thing on Biden. This was not that long ago either. There was a photo that Senator Klobuchar posted, I believe, and I forget what she said, but, you know, Biden having a beer with the workers, you know, he's one of us kind of thing. And it did not take long for people to realize, if you look a little closer, that he's not wearing this hard hat properly. It's on backwards. This little dial here thing is, you know, you can kind of use it to tighten or loosen the fit of the cap. And anyone who's ever worn one of these before would know that. So, of course, you've got the fact-checking organization as Snopes out here. Believe it or not, this is a real thing that Snopes did. They did a fact check and said, did Biden wear a hard hat backwards in a photo op with construction workers? And they're like, false. It says that he visited the construction site to unveil and basically they're saying, no, he did not wear it backwards because there was a brim on the front is basically what their take was. They're having this brim. I think that was the logic behind why this wasn't on backwards. Well, Matt Orfalea laid this all out in an email and provided documentation like proving with the documentation of these helmets that this is not how you're supposed to wear a hard hat. And even Snopes, after getting called out on it, because it was irrefutably wrong, had to go and change this to say true. He was wearing it backwards. The point of me bringing this up is just to expose, if you still think Snopes is out there objectively calling balls and strikes, obviously they're just trying to run cover for those in power, right? Even as something as stupid as wearing a hat backwards, they will just blatantly lie to you or do zero research in order to put a fact check out there. And then these fact check gets weaponized because Facebook, in particular, if you share an article and it's labeled false by Snopes, they penalize your account for that. And this is how the whole thing works. I'm assuming if you guys are watching me or whatever, you probably know this, but that's how the whole system works, right? And then when it's turned out true, Facebook's, we're not the ones doing it. It's Snopes, right? The whole thing is rigged beyond belief. Anyways, so I saw this story this past week about this pastor, and this kind of got me fired up a little bit. Because the headlines are just, they write themselves, right? And then this guy doesn't help with his, it wasn't even an apology video, but a video he made afterwards, kind of explaining himself, did not do him any favors, right? So, a Colorado pastor says God told him to launch a crypto venture. He's now accused of pocketing $1.3 million from his followers. And that headline, normally, CNN headlines or whatever are deceptive or they leave out facts and whatnot. But as far as I can tell, this is all true. In fact, he admits to it in a video. And you can see these headlines. Pastor charged with cryptocurrency fraud said God told him to do it. And this is why I got real pissed off, is because, he's claiming God told him to run a pyramid scheme or a crypto scam, right? So now he's dragging God's name through the mud and making Christians look like idiots, right? So I got kind of pissed off about this, to be honest with you. So, and then he pocketed more than $1 million. Well, so he did this whole video and all the articles linked to it, but they've made it private. So that entire video I wasn't able to get. And I don't know, maybe I could have signed up for this website, but I'm not doing that. It's this index coin or something. I'm not doing that. But I was able to get at least a decent chunk of the video off of YouTube. And that's what I wanted to watch right here. Just so you can kind of hear from this guy's own mouth what he did and why he did it. So we're going to watch this video and then go through the CNN article and just kind of talk through that. So you got to listen to this. This is absolutely wild.
So this update is to really just take some things head on. I'm not reading from a script, and I didn't prepare any notes like I normally do. And I was asking the Lord what he wanted me to say, and he said, just let me speak through you. So
I'm sorry. I'm
let me
changing
just
the volume.
First and foremost by saying that Caitlin and I are being charged in a civil charge from the Colorado Securities and Exchange Commission for basically selling millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency that is deemed worthless by the state. Now, the reason that they're saying that it's worthless is because there is no exit for people who have bought. So everyone that's watching this and who has put money into this, who wanted to take money out, you've been unable to do that. We launched an exchange, the exchange technology failed, things went downhill, and from that point forward, we've just been waiting on the Lord literally for a miracle. So the charges are that Caitlin and I pocketed $1.3 million, and I just want to come out and say that those charges are true.
What? So he straight up admits to this and says, yep, we took $1.3 million. But wait, it gets better.
So there's been $1.3 million that's been taken out of, I think it was a total of $3.4 million. But out of that 1.3, $500,000 went to the IRS, and a few $100,000 went to a home remodel that the Lord told us to do.
Are you freaking kidding me? This is what people had a field day with. So first off, he slips in there, as if we're not paying attention, that he owed the IRS $500,000. And then he did a kitchen remodel or home remodel for a couple $100,000, which, you can buy a house for a couple $100,000 that the Lord told him to do. Can you believe this guy? So first off, if you owe the IRS $500,000, I mean, I don't know this guy's financial situation. Maybe he's a multimillionaire and was before this. That's irrelevant. But in what world are you living in where that would be acceptable to take that money, other people's money that they're investing, and use it to pay the IRS? I mean, that is absolutely insane. Not to mention, that sounds like you had a problem with the IRS where maybe this was accumulating over years. I'm just speculating. And then the first thing you wanted to do was to clear up that mess and put that behind you, because you probably had that lurking over your head for the last few years. And we're not talking about a couple $1,000s. $500,000 this guy paid off the IRS for. This is absolutely unbelievable. And then he's admitting to it on video. So, I mean, at least it's good he's being honest. But he doesn't have any shame in admitting that they stole their money. And then the cherry on top is to say that he remodeled his house and the Lord told him to do that. I'll tell you what. This gets crazier. Listen to this.
And so I don't want to try to mince words or try to escape it, but I want to, if I can, just communicate to you heart to heart and tell you how we got here. And it wasn't just like we had $1 million sitting there and we decided to go crazy with it. So
no, that's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like you took 1.3 million. You didn't go crazy with the first $500,000 because you were getting that monkey off your back with the IRS, which I'm sure they're harassing you for a couple years, and you got that cleared up. I would say that spending $200,000 on a home remodel is absolutely going crazy. I mean, let's just say you wanted to remodel your kitchen. I don't know, what's that going to cost you max? $30,000, $40,000? Dude, $200,000. You built a whole brand new house basically at that point. That is going crazy with it. For most Americans, upgrading your house for a couple $100,000 is going overboard, okay? And he's just making it sound like it's no big deal. By the way, he took 1.3, so we've only accounted for $700,000-$800,000 of it. So, there's another $500,000 out there that who knows what they spent it on.
Started as the Lord told us.
This guy's a real piece of work. The Lord told him to do all this, which I'll talk about that in just a second.
21 to walk away from our marketing company, and we have had a lot of success raising millions of dollars for different clients. And he said, I'm going to do a new thing. And then he took us into this cryptocurrency. It was a different cryptocurrency other than Index Coin at the time. Well, that cryptocurrency turned out to be a scam, to basically put it the best way I can describe it. And I said, Lord, you told me to do this. Now there's people involved in this. What do you want me to do? And the Lord said, I want you to build this the way that it should be done. And so that original cryptocurrency was already overvalued by 4 times. And so the people who bought this, they were already basically 4x'd, leveraged on this. And so the Lord says, give that to them, but also give them a 10x. So if someone bought $1,000 worth of Index Coin, we were basically giving them the index amount of $10,000. So
this guy is absolutely unbelievable. So he's saying that the Lord told him if someone puts in $1,000, I'm going to 10x. I'm going to multiply their deposit by 10 times. Now, the people buying into this bear some blame too, because they know darn well that this is a pyramid scheme type of thing. Now, I don't know the intricacies of as it relates to this Index Coin and how that all worked. But if you deposit money and your deposit instantly goes up by 10, you can rest assured that that is absolutely a scam. So these greedy folks trying to get in early and put in money, they're just as much to blame. Well, maybe not just as much, but they're to blame as well. This is absolutely crazy.
Next on top of it. And I'm like, well, where's this liquidity going to come from? And the Lord says, trust me.
This guy is a real piece of work. He's like, where's this liquidity coming from? Because I'm just giving people 10 times their money. So where am I going to get this from? And he's like, the God said, trust me. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
So that's fine. So we keep moving along. God keeps confirming. God keeps showing up. God keeps opening doors. We're not even marketing this thing. People are telling people, and it just comes in.
Yeah, they're telling people because their money's getting multiplied by 10 on paper, apparently. And they want to get more people in so they can get their money and cash out and not be the last sucker holding the bag. That's what I mean. These people had to have known this is a scam. I mean, come on.
A lot of you were there from the very beginning, and you'll be able to relate to this. Well, as money is coming in, we would be sowing it. And at first it was hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars, then tens of thousands of dollars, and we have records to prove all this. And then as we're sowing all this money...
Oh, wow, you kept records of it, as if that makes it better. We kept records of our scam. And I don't know what he means by sowing it.
And paying for developers and everything else, we run out of money. And we got $300 to our name. And the Lord appears to me in a dream, and he says, I want you to sow $100,000. And I said, I'll do it, but I don't have it. And then that night, there's a gentleman that actually came in for $100,000. The next day, he changed his mind and came in for $200,000. And so we sowed $100,000 of that. And then from that point forward, things really started escalating, and we just continued to sow heavy amounts. Well,
So when he says sow, they use these words that Christians use. And of course, the biblical reference is, you plant a seed, right? And then at some point in the future, you reap the harvest, right? So if you plant a seed, someone else may come through and help that seed grow, help it mature, right? So he's using these words sow, but basically what he's saying, if I'm understanding him correctly, has absolutely nothing to do with sowing, as Christians normally say. He was building up the infrastructure of this scam coin. I think that's what he means by sowing. Anyways, we'll continue here.
Launched the exchange. I believe we did a $100,000 seed into one ministry and another $25,000 Bitcoin seed into another, and trusting that the Lord was going to do this.
Well,
and up until this point, we had been sowing hundreds of thousands of dollars in U.S. dollars. We'd been giving people a multiple of 10 on anything they came in for. The Lord also told us to sow into the families of index coins. So if anybody came in for $1 or more, we automatically sowed 10,000 coins into them.
So, yeah, see? He's saying we sowed into them. Basically, he's saying we're getting this pyramid scheme kicked off the ground by giving people 10 times their money. So then they'd go and tell their friends and say, hey, guys, I just got 10 times my money. Just like that. It's not sowing. What is he talking about?
And on top of that, we sowed an additional huge amount of coins into various ministries. It was all in all, you guys, we're looking at about $300 million worth of coins that were sown before the exchange went live. So I just want to give you like a snapshot of where we're at. Now,
yeah, so again, I don't know what he's talking about sowing, and he says we put it in ministries. I'm a little iffy on his language there and what exactly he's saying, but this guy's no good, right? So first off, let me just say, these headlines that say that God told him to do this, is what really kind of got me fired up, right? So, knowing what God is saying to you is not always clear cut, right? We don't hear an audible voice from God, at least nowadays. How does God speak to us? He speaks to us through his word, the Bible, right? Through prayer, through other Christians, perhaps, right? And it's kind of one of these things. I mean, sometimes it's like a feeling, but, and this is something I'm still kind of learning and going through as well. But if you're deciding to say, hey, is this action of mine that I may take, is this from God? Well, there's some certain tests that you can run that through to see if that is of God. Meaning, if you say, hey, I'm going to open up a cryptocurrency and basically run it like a pyramid scheme, and God's telling me this, it's like, well, no, because God would not want you to defraud people out of their money. And then to say, God told you to take money out and steal it from them and remodel your houses from God, again, that can't possibly be from God, because God wouldn't approve of you defrauding other people, whether they're Christians or not. I mean, the whole idea is laughable on its face, and he's just dragging God's name through the mud, talking about the Lord told him to do this, and then praying for a miracle that somehow more money is going to come out to keep his pyramid scheme afloat. At least it sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. I mean, again, I'm not a crypto expert, but when you're 10xing people's money, as you know, initially, that's obviously not sustainable, right? So this guy's a con man and has no business being a pastor or running a business for that matter. This guy can't be trusted, and he's a real piece of it. It's crazy. So the article says a pastor in Denver who said that God told him to sell cryptocurrency that could not be cashed is facing civil charges along with his wife. Oh, his wife's in on this too. For marketing a digital coin that was practically worthless, and they used that to support a lavish lifestyle. I mean, it does exactly sound like that. They had no experience in cryptocurrency, and it was this index coin. They raised over $3 million, and 300 people bought it in, maybe a year's time, June to April 2023, and they used the money for themselves. So in that video, he said he did not want investors to be mad at the prosecutors. So this is the part of the video I just couldn't find. That link right here, that's the video that's taken down. So again, I couldn't find the whole thing. He's like, they have to do this. I mean, if you think about this, we sold a cryptocurrency with no clear exit. We did. This guy, we took God at his word and sold a cryptocurrency with no clear exit. I mean, this guy. He really should have talked to a lawyer and just shut his mouth with this whole thing. But he's basically making it easy on these prosecutors, saying, yep, we sold them a cryptocurrency that there was zero chance they could get their money back. And then we took it and spent it. This guy, he is something else. He also said in the video that he went into the cryptocurrency business because the Lord told him to. He said that God had once come to him in a dream and asked him to do so, and he accepted that he and his wife spent the funds in a home remodel that the Lord told us to do. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that's another way the Lord could talk to you is dreams, right? That certainly happened, in the Bible for sure. It's never happened to me, I don't think. Dreams are weird. I don't really know how I feel about dreams, and if God can still talk to us in dreams now. I mean, I'm sure he can. But I dream some wacky stuff, so dreams are weird. I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation, but I really doubt, no, or like I said, it's impossible that the God told him to do this. He says he still hopes the investors could get their money back and believe that God is going to work a miracle in the financial sector. This guy thinks money's just going to fall from heaven into his bank account and then solve the whole problem. You know what's sad is I saw screenshots of the forum where he posted this video, and he still had people supporting him saying, they stand with him and support him, and they're sorry this is happening to him and this kind of thing. And I'm like, man, these people, whew. So the commissioner of the SEC in Colorado says he took advantage of the trust and faith of his own Christian community, which he absolutely did. He peddled outlandish promises of wealth to them when he sold them essentially worthless cryptocurrencies. That's absolutely true. He's 10xing their money. A website for the church has been taken down, and he said in a video in 2021 that the Lord told him and his wife to step away from a marketing company they were running to start a new thing. And 9 months ago, things started falling apart, and that he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he didn't know what he was doing as far as the crypto is concerned, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He was taking people's money and spending it. One of two things happened. Either I misheard God, and every one of you who prayed and came in, you as well, or two, God is still not done with this project, and he's going to do a new thing. Or you just made this whole thing up in your head. How about option 3, and decided to swindle people out of their money? Get out of here with this. I misheard God. That guy's a real piece of work. So they were seeking damages, the prosecutors were, to help restore losses to investors, and he said in the video that the couple planned to argue the case and that their goal was for investors to get some sort of the money back. I don't know how they're going to argue this case. He just admitted to everything in this video and said, yep, we sold them a cryptocurrency with no exit plan. We took money, remodeled our house, gave it to the IRS, and we sewed it into other things, and basically has the prosecutor just agreed with everything the prosecutors are claiming they did. So I have no idea how he's going to actually argue this case. But from the looks of it, and again, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but again, he just admitted to everything. So, yeah, this is one of those things where it's like when the Lord's speaking to you, it can be a tricky thing. Maybe not tricky is the right word, but like, for example, our pastor at my local church just left a few months ago, very abruptly, and left the state. Took his family, they moved out of state. There was no scandal or anything of this nature that precipitated that or whatever. So he just felt that was the right thing to do. And this was a church he started 6 years ago, and he was well liked and kind of broke everyone's hearts by leaving. But he just knew that this was the right thing to do. I think more often that's kind of it. Like, you just know, when you're in that constant relationship with Christ, you just know, right? You just know what the right thing to do is. And again, when you're deciding on a big life decision like that, you can be certain it's not of God if it violates or goes against the teachings of the Bible. And defrauding people out of their money is obviously immoral and in no way, shape, or form can be of God, right? So this guy's, I misheard God. Give me a break with that. What a piece of work this guy is. All right, I got 2 last quick videos that I thought were funny. Not funny. This one's kind of funny. This has to do with the whole border crisis, which is a whole nother topic for another day. And this was on CNN, which of course no one watches, but I see random clips on Twitter. And they had this guy, and he basically silenced the host of this show and left her speechless. Watch this.
You don't touch our police officers. You don't touch anybody. Thank you, everybody.
I mean, we're hearing a change when it comes to immigration in general from President Biden on down. To hear her talk about that, it is also directly related to the fact that these were police officers. Does that have any impact? Does that change anything?
Well, it's so complicated because, you're a New Yorker. You move through the city every day as I do. We see these people. We touch these people. They're out looking for work. They're delivering our food. They're at the gas stations and the car wash. These are people who came in waves, 170,000 probably to New York City. But within that group, this hardworking, throngs of people in search of hope and a better life, there is this 1%er, criminal element that looks at a different opportunity here. These individuals, I went over their rap sheets yesterday, multiple charges, grand larceny, robbery, attempted robbery, grand larceny. This particular crew operated on mopeds and scooters. They were doing organized retail theft. They were doing snatches on the street, iPhones, iPads, clothing, so on and so forth. One of them that they are still seeking has 10 charges on one day because he's part of a pattern that's been going on. And I'm looking at the dates that their arrest started, which is probably close to when they got here. They've only been here a couple of months. So
wow.
What the detectives are telling me is they have crews here that operate in New York, do all their stealing, then go to Florida to spend the money and then come back. And I'm like, well, why don't they just stay and steal in Florida? And they said, because there you go to jail.
Oh.
Great reporting. Keep us posted on this.
That lady was speechless. That lady was speechless. She goes, oh. Watch this again.
Great reporting.
He's like, fair point. That is funny. What can you say? I don't know. That's probably true. I live in Florida. Hopefully, if a gang of people are out robbing stores and beating up cops, hopefully they go in jail. Oh, man. That's so crazy. All right, last clip is this one of my favorite villains. I think this is like the right-hand man of Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum. And this clip, I think, is a couple years old, I believe. But this was flying around Twitter the past week or so. And it actually is pretty shocking that they're so open with what they think. Just give this a listen.
Many, maybe most legal systems are based on this idea, this belief in human rights. But human rights are just like heaven and like God. It's just a fictional story that we've invented and spread around. It may be a very nice story, it may be a very attractive story, we want to believe it, but it's just a story. It's not a reality. It is not a biological reality. Just as jellyfish and woodpeckers and ostriches have no rights, Homo sapiens have no rights also. Take a human, cut him open, look inside, you find their blood, and you find the heart and lungs and kidneys, but you don't find there any rights. The only place you find rights is in the fictional stories that humans have invented and spread around. And the same thing is also true in the political field. States and nations are also, like human rights and like God and like heaven, they too are just stories. A mountain is a reality. You can see it, you can touch it, you can even smell it. But Israel or the United States, they are just stories, very powerful stories, stories we might want to believe very much, but still they are just stories. You can't really see the United States. You cannot touch it. You cannot smell it.
Is that not the craziest thing? This guy's, with his worldview and ideology, he's saying that human rights are made up. And when you have that mentality, I mean, obviously, you can justify anything, right? This guy has no morals. He doesn't believe in the soul. You know, he's like, you cut a human body open and what do you see? Flesh and blood. It's like, yeah, but you're missing the soul aspect of this whole thing. You know, we're all made in the image of God. He is as well. He just doesn't, he refuses to acknowledge that that is a reality. It's sad, man. People like this that have a lot of influence, and this guy does. I mean, you know, he's up on stage talking all over the place and influence people because he's a real smart guy or whatever. Listen, all I know is at the end of the day, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. And that includes me, and that includes him. The hope is more people do it before it's too late. You know, and as much as this guy's a villain and he's evil beyond belief, we should still pray for him. You know, we're supposed to love our enemies. This guy's clearly an enemy of everything that I believe in. Everything. And, you know, he would have no problem wiping me and Christians off the face of the earth. And believe me, if you think I'm exaggerating, no, like, he'll clearly tell you exactly what he thinks. There's a bunch of clips of this goofball out there, but anyways, yeah. So pray for this guy, pray for Biden, pray for our administration, because we need their hearts changed. That's the only way things improve, you know. Anyways, if you happen to have watched this far, I appreciate it. Give it a like, and I'm going to probably try to start doing these every Sunday night. I might move it up to 7. I've just had a busy last month or two. I know I hadn't done this in a few months, but it is kind of fun to get on here and just rant. Even if no one's watching, it is kind of therapeutic to just kind of talk this stuff through. But anyways, thanks, guys. That's all I got. Take care. Bye.